A good percentage of people are actually terrified of the ocean. One of those people is me. So, like any normal person, I decided to spend 100 days in it. Now, obviously, I'm too scared to do this in real life, so I did it in Minecraft. Yeah, I spent 100 days of Minecraft survival hardcore in the middle of the ocean. I had no land to stay on. I had to build in the ocean. There was no trees. The only wood I could get was from sunken ships, and the only food I could find was from treasure chests. Now, obviously, you can't really beat Minecraft, so I had 3 main objectives. 1, get a full set of diamond enchanted armor. 2, cure a zombie villager. Now, you might be wondering why that's a challenge, is because the apple spawn rate in treasure chests is just super rare, and you have to have a golden apple to treat a zombie villager. And 3, beat the ender dragon, obviously. And that's what I'm about to show you today. This was probably about 30 hours of recording, and probably double the time editing. So if you did enjoy, just sub to my channel and like the video. It really helps me out a ton. Alright, I'm not going to keep you for too long. Enjoy. Day 1 started pretty slow. I spawned into the world and I decided that I needed to get loot, but where was I going to get it other than sunken ships? The first chest seemed pretty much useless, just a bunch of paper, maps, and feathers. But the next chest would actually set me up for a minute. It had some gunpowder, paper, carrots, potatoes, all the food that I needed for a while. Next, I stumbled upon a broken nether portal. The loot in it wasn't that good, just a bunch of iron nuggets, a flint and steel, and 2 pairs of golden pants. And I just repeated that process with more ships and nether portals for a while. But then I found a leather cap with mending on it, which was going to be completely useless to me. And only a couple minutes into the game, I found the stronghold. But the next sunken ship I came across had a bunch of loot for me to use, including a diamond to start me off. And I used the excess iron ingots and nuggets to make myself a chestplate, an iron axe, and a shield. Now that I finally had an axe, I was able to take the wood out of the boats to start my base. I decided since I was right next to the stronghold that I was going to make my base there, but I want to do a little bit of exploring first. Stumbled across the skeleton, which wasn't that hard to kill. Then the next room I ran into had a zombie and a creeper inside of it ready to jump me, so I took them both out to get on my way. Day 2 started out with me finding the end portal already, something that I actually daunted because I didn't want the end portal to be underground, and finding another broken nether portal. Though this one had a bunch of golden apples, a shovel, and a chestplate inside of it. It also had a couple obsidian that I could stash away for later. I wanted to make an underground glass base to start off, so I decided to get a bunch of sand because it was all around me. Stumbled across another ship with a bunch of emeralds and a bottle of enchanting in it. Though the next ship I came across had a pufferfish that just wanted to grief me. I made my way into a cave for day 3, started mining out some coal and iron for me to use later. And this process went on for a little while, actually. I did end up finding some redstone, and not too long after, I found my first natural diamonds. Went over and mined those and found some lapis right next to it. And then not even a minute later, I found more cave diamonds. I don't know what's up with underwater caves if they have a better chance of spawning diamonds, but I guess this one did. Starting off day 4, I decided to explore the library of the stronghold, because I knew I was going to need books to make an enchanting table. And luckily, this place had enough books for me to not actually have to get leather, which doesn't matter because I think is impossible anyway. So I actually got pretty lucky here with the spawn. I took the cobwebs from here because I knew 4 cobwebs made 1 wool so I could make a bed. And I got cocky with killing this creeper, and it almost ended my entire run. This chest had a bunch of enchanting books in it. Not any that would be really useful to me right now, but it was still good to have on me. Used more of the iron that I got from the cave and the chests to make a full set of iron armor. Then I went up because I knew I didn't have enough resources to make my underground base, so I started making an above ground base. I threw down a chest, a crafting table, and a furnace for me to smelt my iron. The rest of the day was me starting off with my underground glass base. I wanted to go for a circle vibe, but this didn't turn out very well. I was kind of just winging it the entire time, which is what I do in this game anyway. But if you want to watch it, here's a time lapse on the screen. And if you want to skip it, I put the ending on the screen. Once I drained out the glass base, I finally put all my stuff in chests. This was going to be used as my storage area when I had my above ground base. Day 5 started pretty weird, since right as I left my base, there was a dude throwing tridents at me. And from my previous experiences with this run, this never really ends well. So I tried to kill it. I did end up killing him, but I was pretty scared in the process that I was going to lose everything I worked for. Then I started to expand because I wanted a place to put my bed underground. I ended up going outwards because I wanted to connect the two spheres, kind of. So I made a little hallway here that I would put all my stuff in for now. The rest of the day was pretty simple. I went back to the sunken ships with my axe and took most of the wood out of them. And it seems right as I cleared out this ship, there was a gang of drowned waiting to kill me. So I got the hell out of there. Day 6 started off with me finding another broken nether portal. This loot isn't getting any better. The only thing that I really cared about in this was the 2 obsidian. The boots were hot garbage, and I just didn't really care about most of it. Although the game did make up for me when I found a couple emeralds in this chest. The rest of the day, I ended up draining the little hallway that I made in my base. This is actually a really tedious process to do. It was not that fun. But in the end, I did get it done. Next, I decided to use the diamonds that I got from the cave and from the chest to start making tools that I can use, because these iron tools were not cutting it anymore. I turned all the potatoes from the ships into baked potatoes because I knew they gave me more saturation and hunger, and I finished the end of my base. And other than that, I went out into the underground ravine next to me and started mining out the coal for smelting. Days 8 through 15 went by pretty fast as well, since I was in an underground cave. I tried to climb this water, but these like 15 zombies fell on me with skeletons and creepers. I ended up killing them and found a couple diamonds next to a lava pool, which was pretty lucky. Next, I did actually end up finding a zombie villager, but I was nowhere near ready to cure it yet, so I just decided to kill it. Next, I cleared out more of my underground base for my enchanting table. I started putting the bookshelves down that I made from the books in the library, but I didn't have enough to make a full enchanting table, so I just decided to wait. In the meantime, I did go out to more sunken ships to get wood to make books, because if you don't know, when you mine the bookshelves that are in the library, it doesn't drop the bookshelf, it just drops 3 books. Day 16 did start out with my first enchantment of this video, and you know, me being the lucky guy that I am, I put in level 30 and I only got Silk Touch. Yeah, when I said I was lucky, I was actually lying to you. So in my anger, I put down a grindstone to smack the Silk Touch right off that pickaxe. Then I used the diamonds from me mining to start making my first set of diamond armor. And I will put emphasis on the words first set. Days 17 to 25 were me making my base above ground. I wanted to use stone bricks because I felt like they were just the easiest thing to get. Again, I am winging this entire thing. But in the middle of me building my base, I met my match with my diamond armor to this enderman that I actually thought was going to kill me. It got me down to half health, but I did end up killing it, and it dropped me an ender pearl. This chest got me my first golden apple that I needed to start curing villagers. And again, with my base, I'm just winging it. I wanted to make a carrot farm, so I took the dirt from underground and started planting it above ground. The next couple of days were probably my luckiest in this entire video with mining. I found so many diamonds, so much iron, so much redstone. I really didn't think I was going to have to go mining for the rest of the video. But here's just a compilation of me finding some diamonds. I started making a greenhouse type vibe for my carrots because I actually wanted to start using decorations more. Days 26 to 35 went by really slowly, but right now I'm showing you a compilation of me building the outside of my upper base. But just remember, you are watching Minecraft days go by within these cuts. There was a ton of footage, and I just didn't feel like putting it all in would be worth it, so I cut it up to the best parts. I got more dirt to expand my farm because I was getting more carrots, and after that, I came out of the ravine, and there was another drowned holding a trident. But this one actually dropped me my first trident. But other than that, I got back around to building my base, and right as I went back out into the ocean, I found a random boat from earlier. Now, this was definitely placed by me, obviously, but I don't remember doing this. Even looking back on this editing, I don't remember putting this boat here. I found my first underwater city of this video. These have a ton of chests and loot, but they're also like breeding ground for drowns. There are always so many of them here. And obviously, for all the time that I put into this, I got nothing out of these chests. It was all horrible loot. But other than that, during these days, I did decide to go get more obsidian because I wanted to finally build my nether portal and enter the nether. So I decided to head down into a ravine and start mining. And I decided to pick right in the front of my base, so when you walked out from the underwater base, you could just see the nether portal right there. And right as I put down all the obsidian, I realized that I was a couple missing. So I wasn't able to make it yet, but I only needed one more, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I just went back to the ravine and mined one more piece of obsidian, then I was chilling. Made myself my first flint and steel, and my nether portal was lit. I don't know what biome it is that I spawned into, but I wanted to start getting gold because I knew I had to get ender pearls by trading with piglins. This was also a really good way to get wood instead of having to go to the sunken ships. Days 36 to 50 were also kind of the same as 26 to 35. They went by really slow, but this was mostly spent decorating my base and getting materials from the nether. I wanted to get some of these vines here because I didn't want to use ladders all throughout my underwater base to get to my enchanting room and to get to my storage room, which is actually a really good idea if you're in an all ocean world. world. So I spent a while doing that, and I just thought, hey, I'll bring my gold with me. If I find a piglin, I'll trade with him. And I did find a piglin. So I gave him my gold, and like any nice person, he gave me jack sh. Yeah, I think he gave me like 5 gravel. But I ignored that. It wasn't that big of a deal to me, and I just went on mining quartz. Now, I knew my biggest danger in the nether was not lava. It was these hoglins. These things do so much damage, even with full diamond armor. I decided to spend more gold trading with piglins, hoping that in some ultimate world that I would get ender pearls. Newsflash, I didn't. They did give me a lot of potions, though, which was good because I was going to fall into lava a couple times. And I headed back to my base. I started to attempt to put these vines down. It didn't go very well. I had to break the ladders without messing up the vines, and it was just a whole process. I put a compilation behind me. It was just a whole mess. But I did eventually get it done. Next, I decided to move my farm from underneath my platform to above it so that I could get more sunlight and rain. And I thought there's 4 corners to my base, so why not use all of them? So the first one I did was a gigantic, it was a really big carrot farm, and I just built it off the side. I wanted to make it even, but it's hard to do that when you don't have any blocks to reference yourself. But I was trying here, and you're looking at that in the background. I dug out the holes to put all the water in because I knew you have to have water on each side of a block for it to actually moisturize. I did that all throughout the night and used stone walls to put torches above it, which I think looked really nice. And right as I finished, it started raining and phantoms started attacking me. Days 51 to 60 went by faster, that's why it's not that big of a leap. But I went underwater caving for a bit to get some diamonds, and then eventually ended up coming back to the cave where I found my first zombie villager and found a second one here. But I wasn't going to start curing villagers until late game, so I just killed him. I went mining more for XP instead of loot, so I ended up mining a lot of redstone, coal, and lapis, but I did find diamonds along the way. I also spent a lot of the time getting cobblestone because I wanted to make a mob grinder. I wanted to do this so that I didn't have to keep mining for XP. I could just go to this mob grinder and get a couple levels, but I needed, I think, 25 or 26 stacks of cobblestone to do this, so I just time-lapsed me mining all of it. Next, I ended up going back in the nether to find a nether fortress, and not only did I find the nether fortress on the surface, but it was also a showing blaze spawner. So I did end up using this to grind blaze rods. I wanted to get a lot more because I didn't know what else I was going to use blaze powder for. I knew I was going to be brewing potions in the future, so I didn't want to get just like 7 blaze rods. But the blazes weren't really a problem. They died really easily to my axe, and I could block all their shots with a shield. But after a couple near-death experiences in the fortress, I decided to head back to the overworld. But after finally finding my portal again, there were 3 hoglins right outside of it, and I didn't want to deal with that. But I knew in the end I did need food, so I decided to kill them, and surprisingly without them killing me. Yeah, I did come close a couple of times. But now that I finally had a bunch of wood, I can make the trapdoors that I needed for my mob grinder. And after making the trapdoors, I think I finally had enough materials to start making the mob grinder. So this is the compilation of me doing it in the background. I did follow a tutorial, and I will link that tutorial in the description down below. If you guys need one, this is super simple, and it's actually really effective. It's also a really cheap mob grinder too. You don't need tons of expensive materials. But if you do want to watch the compilation of me building it, I'm putting that in the background. I will also put the time card of the ending of this on the screen here if you want to just skip to the end. But after it was done, I went to check if it was working, and it checked for me. A skeleton fell right into my water, which isn't supposed to be there, by the way. Day 61 through 65 wasn't much exploring. I did just grind my mob farm for levels and go fishing for a little bit to get a name tag. I also ended up messing with this creeper a little bit. But after a little while of fishing, I looked over at my mob spawner and saw a witch that I thought was a villager, so I got really excited and then really upset, so I just killed them all. I ended up going into my enchanting room to enchant my last piece of diamond armor to complete my first challenge, which was get a full set of diamond enchanted armor. And I used the golden apples that I got to make my second golden apple to cure villagers. After that, I realized that now that I have a mob grinder, I'm going to start getting zombie villagers, even if it's at a slower rate than usual. And I wanted to make a completely separate part of my base just to trade with villagers. I wanted to make a new pair of diamond pants because I was not satisfied with only protection 3 for a level 30 enchantment on my pants. So I decided to make a whole new pair of pants and put them into the enchanting table, and it showed protection 4, which was looking really good. And then I enchanted it, and it didn't give me anything else. Then to end it off here, I just grinded my mob farm and found my first name tag from fishing. Day 66 to 75 were also the same. I spent the first half brewing all of my new potions. To cure a villager, you need to use a potion of weakness and then put gunpowder into the brewing stand to make a splash potion of weakness. But now that I do have my potions, I still needed a zombie villager. So I grinded my mob farm for a couple minutes. It only takes about 5 minutes to stack up a bunch of zombies before they start killing each other with like fall damage and all that stuff. But yeah, I did it about 2 to 3 times, and every time I just wouldn't get a zombie villager. It was getting kind of irritating at one point, but I knew this was going to be the hardest part of the run. I finally went back to my enchanting room, and this was my first good enchantment of the run. I put my axe in there, and I got Fortune 3 with a bunch of other good enchantments. I wanted to put my 2 axes together so that I can combine all the enchantments, but my levels were too low, so I needed to grind a little bit more. I took all the valuables out of the chest that I had them in to make a ender chest that I was going to put all of them in. Now, why did I make an ender chest on a single player world? I don't know, it's just habit at this point. But I did end up making a trash can to throw all my unnecessary items in there. I have gotten a lot of stuff throughout this run, so I needed to put it all away to save space. Day 76 starts off with me taking all the unnecessary stuff out of my chest, all the stuff that I got that I don't need, all the other stuff, and just burning it all. And then I finally got a zombie villager out of my spawner, and I killed it. Another drowned with a trident spawned, but this time it just didn't give me anything. I made my first little cubby that I was going to put the cured villagers into for me to trade. And then the next big project that I started was making my actual underground storage base. But I needed a lot of stone bricks, and I needed a lot of blocks so that I could train everything out. But I came back to the nether to get a bunch of netherrack that I was going to use to fill up my storage base instead of sponges. Though it was a tedious process, I did end up getting it done. There was a zombie pigman that came through the portal, so I just murdered it, and it dropped me an enchanted golden sword. I went back to farm my sugarcane, and there was a creeper that was in the middle of it, and it blew everything up and ruined my day. After a little while of fishing, I did look over, and since I wasn't really AFKing, there was only one mob that spawned down. I thought it was a skeleton since it was wearing golden armor, but it actually turned out to be a zombie villager. Thank God I figured that out before I killed it with an axe. Now, I did try to contain the villager, but this thing was pretty sneaky. It kind of got around me a couple times. So I kind of played Ring Around the Rosie with the zombie villager for a little bit until I could finally make a cage for him, throw the potion at him, give him the golden apple, and then wait a little bit. Yeah, this was a tedious process as well. He really didn't want to go in his cage. But after a while of fishing, I got the achievement finally. It probably took me like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And now was the difficult part, getting him in the boat. I eventually did comply and get in the boat, but I had to bring him up a couple of slabs, and if you didn't know, I had to do this twice because there's 2 slabs that you have to go up. It's just a whole thing. I needed them to have the 1 emerald sail for me, so I was trying so hard. I had the hitboxes on and everything to not hit the villager when he was in the boat. But yeah, it did take a while before he got an enchant that I wanted. I had a couple that I wanted in mind, but it did take a while before he got the enchant that I wanted. I had a couple in mind that I wanted, but mending was probably the main one. And after 2 more villagers, I finally got one of them to drop me a mending book. And with my hands and my glitchy mouse, I bought like 40 of them. Rest in peace to my levels and my emeralds. Now that I had mending on pretty much all of my armor, I was getting ready to beat the game. It's day 98. I really only had 2 more days before this whole run was over. And with that, I put all the eyes in the portal, and I was ready to head in. Now, I really didn't have the best arrow luck when it came to the pillars during this run. I'm usually pretty good about it, but this time I just couldn't seem to hit them. It took me a while, but I did end up breaking all the pillars. I had to climb this one to get to the other one. And right as this dragon shot the fireball at me, I pearled down. I thought this was pretty sick. It might go on my TikTok. But now it was just about when this dragon was going to perch, and it happened pretty often. But after the dragon perched for the first time, when it took off, it shot me into the air, and my heart stopped. Not only did I get flung into the air and then take damage from my own ender pearl, this enderman for some reason just wanted me dead. Although that was a pretty scary experience, I knew that this dragon was on pretty low HP, and I have officially won this game. The end.